Seashells, seashells on the seashore.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this absolutely amazing podcast. Lovely to be here. Lovely to have you listeners.
We are back.
TikTok is blowing up on a few videos, which is good. Getting some good engagement and love in the comments section. It is going very well. So thank you very much for everyone who's taken the time to engage.
I thought I was going to kick the episode
Sorry,
off.
mate. Kick off. Go for it.
It's too late. So we're going to
do not say the title of the episode. They do not need to know what number of the episode we're on. Episode 27.
We're actually 28.
Fuck off. Are we really?
No, 27. But you didn't know that. You didn't know that.
I assumed I was right.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time of the day you may be listening to this podcast. Welcome back. Thank you very much, everyone. How are you today, Mr. Daniel?
Mate, really good. Happy to be here. Happy to have Mr. Oakes here.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good actually. Really, really good. Happy to be here. Good to see Mr. Oakes. It's a lovely day for a bloody good day. I'm excited.
Not going to ask how I am.
How are you today, mate? I've had a coffee. I've had a busy day. I've got loads of energy. How are you today?
I'm over this episode already. I'm over it.
How are you? Go on, tell me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm as good as you. Had a lovely busy week at work.
Mm-hmm.
Getting lit up. Mm-hmm. Not in the sense of drunkenness, but lit up in the sense of busyness. And yeah, just taking each day as it comes. Looking forward to today's podcast. And just chatting shite and changing people's lives.
That's it, mate.
Episode by episode.
Episode by episode.
TikTok by TikTok.
Reel
IG
by reel.
IG.
There we go.
Facebook by Facebook.
And
YouTube by YouTube. You know what I mean? But to start today, we have another feedback. It's a long one. Look how long that is.
Mate, fuck, I'm not reading that.
Well, I'm not going to let you read it.
I actually can't read, that's why.
You'd be like, you tell
You
have educated.
Education. You are well educated.
So this person's actually been listening to all our pods.
Thank you.
So she's like, you can tell that you both have become a lot more educated and aware of the topics that you discuss. You talk with more confidence, but also are able to debate and have a joke with it. I think you both connect so well together too, which makes it engaging. Both bring in different sides of the table. I disagree with Dan on the sexual drive thing because I personally think it creates a blockage in the relationship by having the attitude of always needing sex. Everyone goes through phases with sex, although of course some are one extreme to the next, which is different. I always stand by that relationships can go through phases as well, and that's why you have to stick out at them for a little while. There could be so many factors making issues in the relationship, and you have to look at the core of it to understand if the relationship doesn't work or not. I read this book. Wait, what? Oh, I read this book for couples therapy, and it's so interesting about how our upbringing and how it completely results in how we react to our partners and situation. When you recognize it, you can make action in it and move forward from it. But if you don't acknowledge and embrace, you'll just continue in a rut.
First of all, do I know the person?
I can neither confirm or deny.
Okay. Well, first of all, the person who's listening, thank you very much for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Massive dab for that. Bosh.
Don't know why you dabbed.
Secondly,
sorry for people watching on YouTube.
Secondly, with the comment to that, I did see some of the comments on TikTok, and one of the things I want to address is that in no way, shape or form, obviously, for TikTok, you can only gather, obviously this person's listened to the episode, you can only get people's attention for a very short period of time, and obviously the situation is never going to be completely black and white. What I'm saying is, of course, with any relationship, you've got a few main pillars. You'd have your sexual chemistry, your emotional compatibility, your intelligence matched, all these different things, but sexual compatibility is one of them. But yeah, of course, it's not always going to be linear. It's not always going to be something simplistic. Someone could have come from trauma, childhood abuse, sexually abused. There are so many different things that could have led that person to that point. What I'm saying is that it is something that needs to be addressed.
The relationship that they're currently in.
Correct.
Not just the past.
100%. I'm saying it's definitely something that needs to be addressed, because without that, it leads to relationships becoming stale. It's something that needs to be addressed, and it can either be sorted and resolved, or it won't be. But 100%, this relationship isn't about sex, but it is a massive core value in any relationship, with all the other, few pillars. But yeah, anyway, thank you for the feedback, and hopefully that kind of explains it. Yeah, anyone that is listening, I'm sure we all know that social media is a place to quickly grab someone's attention, and it did exactly that. And if that's led people to listen for further information, job well done.
And if you don't, you're stupid.
Exactly, you're a fucking idiot. Sorry for unnecessary swearing. Your mum's not said anything for a while. Maybe because I haven't been swearing enough. Swearing enough. I've not been swearing enough. Not as much.
No, I think she did. She commented on something.
She's given up now. She's like, whatever.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, good. Over it. But anyway, as usual, everyone, follow us on IG, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And please give us 5 stars on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please. We'll be highly appreciated.
Yeah. Every single like, Dwayne is able to put $1 towards Oakley's food for the month. So make sure he's fed. Isn't that right? He just stares at you wherever you go. It's so adorable to watch. When you're in the gym, you upload those IG videos. You just literally, wherever you are.
He almost breaks his neck to try and see through the machines to get to me.
He just wants to make sure you're okay.
He always, when I take his collar off, he always looks naked, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just like, why? Put some clothes on me.
Oh, he's so cute.
But anyway, what are we talking about today?
I'll let you take the role for this one, or unless you're passing it straight to me.
I'm passing over to you. I'm intrigued.
One of the things I really wanted... One of the things I've been thinking about is that in the world of dating, relationships, and I guess bringing in like mental health that has been blowing up over the last couple of years, I think the word vulnerability has been thrown around a lot by people in the industry, on Instagram, to get views, to get likes, whatever it is. Even by people, the word vulnerability is thrown around a lot. And something that I've been thinking about and that I've heard and looked into a little bit is there's a massive difference between being vulnerable. There's a massive difference between being vulnerable and emotionally dumping on someone. Okay. So I'll give you an example of that. Being vulnerable, if I were to come to you and say, let's say we're in a relationship, which we're not. If I was, I don't know why you use that example. Why is it that we're in a relationship? Because someone said that once. They were like, "Are you guys in a relationship?" I was like, "Absolutely not." He doesn't go for white guys.
Dan wishes he could get with me.
Yeah, my mum would be fuming. Anyway,
it's like Premier League.
Right.
Then we got League 2. You're obviously Premier League.
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I'm just trying to work my way up in a white man's world.
Anyway, so there's a massive difference between being vulnerable and emotionally dumping. And I'll give you an example. If you're in a relationship and I came to you and I said, hey, look, I'm feeling really shit over the last week. I'm feeling really insecure, not really attractive or sexy in myself. And I think the reason for that is I haven't been working out, I haven't been eating properly, and I haven't really been treating myself with the care that I know I need. And I think moving forward, that's really something I want to focus on.
Okay.
What that does is it opens up for a solution, B, feedback from the person you're dating, and it allows you to move forward. Emotionally dumping on someone is, I feel really shit, I'm fat, and no one ever accepts me for who I am. What that does is essentially closes off the whole conversation. It annuls you of all responsibility, and it just chucks your shit on the other person.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is accepting that there's a problem and you're willing to work on it. Emotionally dumping is basically using that person as a garbage disposal, and I don't think that's fair for anyone. So let's stop fucking emotionally dumping. If you want to be vulnerable, actually work on being vulnerable.
I feel like you're projecting.
No, it's just that's quite interesting.
You definitely projected.
I think it's quite interesting.
I don't know what's happened during the week or the last couple of weeks, but I feel like you're projecting. But I completely agree.
Yeah, like in your past relationships, have you come across that before? I know I have. I've come across that.
What? Someone you felt like they're emotionally dumping on you?
Like girlfriends or even friends of mine, where it's like, like I'm just trying to open up, and I'm telling that person, it's like, well, you're not. You're not being vulnerable. Like you like to think you're being vulnerable. You're really not. You're just dumping all your stuff on them and expecting them to like organize it for you. That's not the same as coming to a conversation, accepting an area of your life that needs focus on, and being like, this is what I'm doing to work on it, or B, I'm leaving this open. If you have any feedback, I'd really love to hear that. That's being vulnerable. That's just sharing in like an open environment. That's a healthy way to communicate with someone.
Yeah, and I think I agree, and I think a lot of people would almost do this quote unquote vulnerability, but it'd actually be emotional dumping as a means of also trying to like create this like surface level fake ass. That was disgusting.
I know, sorry, yeah, that came out by accident.
Oh my goodness gracious. To create this like surface level fake ass kind of like connection that you can build with someone by like giving them almost a tiny bit of you, but not actually allow them any part of you, if that makes sense. So you kind of like give them like a breadcrumb of information to make them feel as if, oh my goodness, he's open up, but really they haven't actually, because they haven't actually told you anything that's like any level in your head, any potentially of vulnerability.
100%.
And I also think, going back to one of your points, is that whenever someone's wanting to be vulnerable, there is a sense of, well, what if there's something within you that you have a problem with? It's like, what are you going to do to kind of fix that? You know what I mean? Are you just talking for the sake of it, or is there a level of you that's accepted it and trying to now, okay, let me improve your gym, your fat, whatever. Okay, you feel overweight. Are you going to start eating better? Going to start going to the gym? Okay, your relationship with your partner is not great. Are you going to work on it? Are you going to try and figure out what you're going to do to even make this better? Or are you just wanting to just talk about it for the sake of talking about it? So I think there's a level of just emotional dumping where you're just saying everything for the sake of it, and the vulnerability part coincides with, okay, how can I navigate this and make it better so that you're actually improving on your life, your relationship, work life, whatever, you know what I mean?
It takes a level of like self-awareness. It's like, as another example, you know, if let's say you're a single lad and you like go to your mate, you're like, oh, I'm finding it really hard to approach women. I think that I'm really insecure because I'm thinking about the issues of rejection. I think I overthink the situation, so because of that I don't move forward with stuff I want, versus I'm ugly, no girl ever wants to speak to me, I don't get any attention. You're like, wow, that's just, they're so different in like the outcome of what you're trying to get, in the delivery, and I guess, you know,
it's
also just
like,
the mindset of that
it's almost
person.
like, woe was me. It's like,
exactly,
the whole world against me, no women want me. It's just like, well, energy, people can like feed off energy, and if this is the energy that you have for yourself as a person, where you feel like the world is against you, no woman wants you, all these women aren't like worth shit, or if you're a girl and you're like, all these men are dickheads, like, you are literally attracting that energy of dickhead, because that's the version of men that is in your head constantly. You don't think in your head, or if you're a guy, you don't think in your head, I'm gonna meet amazing women are amazing. If you're not thinking that, then whenever you go out into the wild and all that's in your head is like, all these men are dickheads, all these men are dickheads, you're gonna attract dickheads, or you're probably gonna potentially attract a nice guy, but then find every single fault in that dude, or find every single fault in that woman, and then just ruin it, because you already have this preconceived idea of what a man and a woman is, and that could be for a multitude of reasons. Bad experiences with ex-partners, relationships, bad experiences as a childhood when it came to like your relationship with your parents, with your father, your mother. So it's all sometimes it can all be like for a legit reason, but I think it's so important when it comes to the self-awareness thing, being aware of the idea that you could have these preconceived ideas of the opposite sex or whatever your sexual orientation is, and it's probably something you need to address, which kind of covers 100%. In like the question I asked during the week in my IG, which is, when you first meet the person of the opposite sex or the gender in which you find attractive, when you first meet them, what is like your first perception of them? What do you think? Do you think the worst, or do you assume the best? And what do you kind of do with that information?
Me personally, maybe let me know if it's a really vague response, but I go into everything pretty open-minded, with like no real, maybe like, I don't know, maybe years ago I would have maybe had an assumption based on a number of different things, but now no, not really. Like, I think I would make assumptions based on that person's personality based off the first couple of like few minutes of conversation. You can assess like what kind of person they are they open, are they closed, are they extroverted, are they introverted? Is there a judgment from that? Not really. Like, I think everyone becomes more comfortable the more you know them, but if you're asking what's my initial reaction, he's just coming in with a random, he's like, come to you like, is this good? Is that
I'm
good?
recording a podcast, work away, mate.
But I think, you know, straight into a situation, if that's the question, no, I think I go to it with no kind of like preconception. Just like looking to have a good time and good conversation, engaging, you know.
Interesting. I agree to a level. I think there's always like this idea where people can have a preconception of someone based on a multitude of reasons,
how
like
they look,
how they dress, where they're from, their job, Like if you were to tell someone you work in sales, you're like dickhead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
You know,
usually
'cause-
avoid telling people if I'm on a date that I work in
But
sales.
that's the thing. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
And a lot of people say, "Oh, you don't do that," but like
I
everyone
don't trust
does
him.
it.
No.
But a lot of people said like,
Yeah,
"Oh, it
that's
just
fair.
it goes off." But if anyone comes to me and say you never judge someone based off any kind of like superficial, I don't know, worldly kind of variable, it's a lie.
If I was on a date with someone and I was like, "What'd you do for a job?" They're like, "I'm an influencer," I would just think you're a twat. If that's like the first thing they would say, I maybe would have like a bit of a preconcept. I'd be like, "Oh,
It's just
you just like really like up yourself and
Yeah,
egotistical."
exactly.
You know, maybe that's not a fair judgment, and you know, but that maybe is like something I'd be like, "Oh,
But like influencer is such like a
Yeah.
broad term. It's just
Yeah.
like you can't just say an influencer. Like, what are you influencing? Like, what
Yeah.
area? Because you're not in. It's like, are you influencing people in food? Are you influencing people in fashion, in tech? You know what I mean?
Guess if
I
someone's
think that's
like-
the difference. Because
Yeah, go on.
if someone's like, I'm an influencer, it's like, but like
Yeah.
I can say I'm an influencer because I probably influence my friends
yeah,
in certain way. Well, I definitely influence Dan. But you know what I mean? It's like there's levels to
yeah."
influence. I think the issue with that is like, but what is
What does that
what-
mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't tell me anything. It just tells me that you may have a decent following on some social media platform,
Yeah.
and people like and comment telling you you're fit or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's, yeah.
That's literally what that is.
Basically, I've got a massive bunda and I get loads of likes on Insta. Decent, sweet, good job.
I just wear bikinis at Bondi.
Yeah, what do you do? I just
model.
I just wear bikinis on Bondi Beach. Yeah.
But someone responded to this saying, I think this question can definitely depend on the circumstances and the setting of the two people. But to sum up what I think you're asking, I always go into meeting anybody with an open mind and positive attitude in the hope that they have a good / the right intentions like myself. Their energy will usually speak for themselves, so it's pretty easy to know if they're going to waste your time or not. I can think the way I do because I believe that everyone deserves a chance, and I got a kind of heart and a good soul. But in saying that, if your energy is off and your vibe is telling me otherwise, then I don't waste my time because I'm a baddie and I know my worth. I've always had this perception, but previous relationships where I saw it all and was mistreated has helped me realize it further.
Do you know what? A few things in that, like, there's so much, like, just self-development in that. The fact that you can say, you know, I've been through growth, but that hasn't, like, ruined my perception of dating. It's just made me more, like, self-aware. I think it's incredible. Like, that's a really good bit of, like, self-development, because so many people, they have these issues and they go, well, that's why I'm like this. It's because of this and this and this. And it's like, well, you're not really helping yourself, are you?
Yeah,
You're not really learning anything from the situation. But leading into that, I think that's it's a great way to enter it. You know, everyone deserves a chance, and I think that when it does come to dating, I think it's like gambling. I don't know if I've said this before, but it's like when you go into the casino, you know, you go in there with an amount of money you're willing to lose. So you go in and you're like, I've got 200 quid, I'm going in and I'm ready to lose that. I think the big issue that people have is when they lose that money, then they go, sweet, I'm going to go to the cash point and pull out another $2,000 or another couple of hundred quid. I think more like self-aware, more experienced daters would be like, if I lose that money, I'm done.
Okay.
I've invested the money I'm willing to lose. I'm not now doubling down. And that's okay. You're prepared to do that. But understand when to walk away from the table.
Is the table that one person?
Yeah, it's that one person. So if I go and I'm like, you know what, I'm willing to like put some energy into this situation. I've got a limited amount of energy. I'm willing to get rid of that and let's see what happens. And if nothing comes from it, cool. I'm not going to start throwing more unnecessarily at it.
Yeah.
I know I'm not getting anything back
Especially
from
if
it.
the
And walk
energy is
away.
not being reciprocated.
Yeah, and I think that's why loads of women, you know, sorry, you know, it could be men as well, but like loads of women I hear, yeah, exactly. Fuck, we're gonna get cancelled. Loads of women get fucked. Loads of women I speak to, they're like, oh, you know, I go on all these dates and I invest all this time, and it's like, whoa, one second. There would have been a point where you would have had that first thought, should I be investing more time? And you went, yeah, I'm going to keep throwing more at it.
Yeah.
That is the point where you've expended the amount of money you were willing to lose, and you went, I'm going to cash out everything I've got left in the account.
Yeah.
That's not their problem. That's your problem for not being self-aware enough and smart enough to walk away. And it's not like you were dating that. This is like the very early stages of dating someone. Be self-aware enough to know you have an amount to lose, and then walk away from the situation.
But what if the person on the other side was doing the whole like breadcrumbing thing?
No, this is like if you've been on a date with them, and this actually leads on to like
What after like one date?
stop listening to people and start looking at people's actions, because people give away very quickly and very easily if they're a genuine person. People on a date could be like, oh, I want to do this and I'm so like this, and a girl's like, oh, but he said all these things. Yeah, but what's he shown you?
Yeah, what's he done?
Oh,
What's
nothing,
she done?
but I'm willing to give it the next 3 months to find out. He's still not done it, but he's saying he will. You're clearly not like tapping into what's happening.
Yeah.
Stop. People cannot maintain those level of actions for a long period of time. Just look at their actions, ignore their words, and you'll understand very quickly when to walk away from the table. It's as simple as that. No one can hold up a facade like that for that long.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, well, like, you know what I mean, the unicorns, but it's very rare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I meet you and I'm like, oh yeah, you love hiking. Oh, I love hiking and fucking going doing this every weekend. How long can I do that before I'm absolutely exhausted? Do you know what I mean?
This is like pretending like you're into hiking for like half a year.
Yeah, I'm going to take you on holiday and introduce you to my mate a year later. Oh, he said he's still going to do it. Oh, he's still saying that, is he? Has he done it yet? No, but he said it. Oh, stop fucking listening and start maybe looking.
Yeah. That's the whole... Yeah, actions speak louder than words, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Massively, and I think that people are just swept away with... People are just swept away with like fantasizing and romanticizing and, you know, listening to what people say, because in their mind when that person speaks, they're building up a fairy tale of what they're going to be like. He said all these things and all these... He said... Listen to what you just said. He said those things. What's he doing?
What's she doing? What's
she doing?
Just like attacking men in this podcast.
Or like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
What's she? Do you know what I mean? This could be anyone.
Yeah, I think there is like... It took me a while to get to that stage because I used to do the whole romanticizing thing.
It's easy.
And it's so easy to do whenever you first meet someone. From a physical standpoint, they tick your boxes, and then from like a personality standpoint, they tick like quite a few of your boxes, and then you kind of, because it's at the end of the day, as much as we know, there's so many options out there in terms of women to date or men to date, whatever. A lot of times, some of them just don't hit the mark in terms of what you need, even though there's many options. So when you actually find someone out there that's like a person you could see yourself dating, it is so easy to then completely cut off the
logical
path. Yeah, like the red flags that they may show. You may let it slide because, oh no, but I've been trying this dating thing for ages, and the last 3 or 4 or 5 weren't actually that great, and this one's nice, but this little red flag that I spotted within the first few weeks, like, I'll just ignore it. And then after a while, you'll realize, actually, wait, that little red flag that I saw at the start, they've done it again.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna let it slide one more time.
Yeah.
And they keep doing that. Ooh, okay, now I've just spotted another red flag.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of like tossing up between, do you really like this person, or are you really romanticizing and almost falling in love with the idea of being in love with this person?
Yeah.
Or you fall in love with the idea of the future of what they could be, because yeah, they could be great and they're probably ticking different boxes that you've always wanted ticked by someone. Maybe your ex didn't tick, and then, oh my goodness, this new person ticks it. But then there's like these little red flags that are popping up, like, but then you really do have to just fucking grab yourself by the neck and like, nah.
It's like,
I think a lot of people just don't feel like they deserve what they actually deserve.
Yeah.
People always lower their standard because they maybe have had a lot of bad experiences with exes, or maybe they had just one experience with an ex that's kind of like ruined maybe their self-confidence, and they start, because I have a friend back home, and she listens to this podcast, but she's like a catch, and she was like hanging out with these dudes and stuff, and she was just like, why am I even hanging out with these guys? They're literally not even on my level. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
As in, like, she's very successful, beautiful, and then she felt because, like,
She couldn't find anyone like that. She had to like level down.
yeah, she was like leveling herself. Well, there, obviously you can find guys like that, but she says the guys that she was going for were like not on her level, and she's like, what am I doing? Why am I like doing charity work just for the sake of it?
Why am I doing charity
You know what I
work?
mean? But like, that's the thing, and so many women do that, and men as well. Obviously, you lower your standards.
Stop attacking men on this.
And I'm sorry. You lower your standards slightly a lot of times due to the fact that you may have had a bad experience, and you sometimes just don't feel as if you deserve the love that you actually deserve, which is something that you need to figure out. You know what I mean? And again, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of understanding who you are as a person, what you genuinely feel you bring to the table, what you bring to this world, and then once you know that, then no one can really fucking question your worth or
100%.
even make you doubt your own worth. You know what I mean?
Bars, mate. That was good. I like that. That hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important when like moving into those kind of situations is completely understand your self-worth. I understand what you bring to the situation. It comes down to expecting more than the bare minimum. And I think so many people, they're like, oh, well, like he's nice. He's just really nice. Okay, so what's like the opposite?
Oh, so he's not a dickhead.
He's not
So
a prick,
he's
or
not a
she's not a prick, or
and
they
he
aren't a prick.
texts me constantly. Or he
Yeah.
texts me. He doesn't leave me on red for 5 days.
He doesn't like, beat me and text his ex. Oh wow, that's fucking. He
didn't text his ex happy birthday.
Oh,
and it was
wow.
her birthday today because I checked her IG.
Wow, that sounds great.
Oh, he's
my
amazing.
God.
But like that also puts me into like why do we think the modern dating world is so hard? Why do you think that is? And you know what? Just to start off, I think one of the reasons why is that there's only one agreed upon rule when it comes to dating, is that if you're in a relationship, you don't fuck or kiss anyone else. But with
What?
yeah, I swear.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I swear. You're not allowed. Once you're in a relationship, once you're boyfriend, girlfriend, you don't.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
But on top of that, I think that's obviously like the universal rule. Once you're married, but if you're in a monogamous relationship, or if you're a monogamous relationship or marriage, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Once you're in that, you don't sleep with other people, you don't kiss other people. But everything else below that, it's like a gray area. People have different expectations of what different levels of a relationship means. So, for example, you can meet a girl and you could start dating her, and after 3 dates, in her head, she's probably thinking, I'm not going to be dating anyone else, I'm not going to be sleeping with anyone else, because that's just who she is as a person in the dating world. But then you, after 3 dates, the idea of you not dating anyone else or sleeping with anyone else isn't even going through your mind, because in your head, you just met this girl. But the other girl could be thinking, I'm obviously not going to be dating anyone else, and she hasn't even communicated that to you. So there's like a discrepancy between expectations of each point, and then you could get to a point where it could be 3 or 4 months down the line, and she's probably still not sleeping with anyone else, but you are, and it's just like, but you still don't know because the conversation hasn't happened. So I think that's like a massive part of how the dating world is. Back in the day, you'd start dating, you'd pretty much be only dating that person, and then they're your girlfriend and boyfriend. Whereas here, there are like so many levels, so many labels before you get to that exclusive part. You know what I mean? And even exclusive to me is like, you're technically a boyfriend and girlfriend without the actual title. That's what exclusivity is to me. Really. But again, titles scare people.
It's hot in here, isn't it?
It is, the fans going. Titles scare people, and rightly so. It's a weird like transition to go from being single then to say boyfriend girlfriend. It's because whenever you're boyfriend girlfriend, it's like a proclamation into the world of dating that you're off the market. You know what I mean? Why are you laughing so much?
I'm feeling so bad.
And it's also harder. It's harder to hold people accountable when you don't have.
My eyes like twitching. I'm having like a nervous twitch.
Why? It's harder to hold people accountable whenever there's so many more levels and so many more versions of a quote unquote relationship without titles, because you can just say, well, how am I meant to know that we weren't allowed to sleep with anyone else? You know what I mean? So I think that's the reason why, but one of the reasons why modern dating's so hard.
It takes communication. Can you see my right eye?
Yeah, it looks like it's watering loads.
No, can you see the twitch?
No, there's no twitching.
There's a twitch there.
I can't
This
see
whole
it.
thing has just like triggered a. Oh my god.
There's like an olden day expectations with modern day, with a mixture of modern day of dating as well.
I think a lot of it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
Massively. You go on a date with someone, and if a female is like, hey, I'm not going to be sleeping with anyone else, it's like, cool. If you expect that from the other person, you have to communicate it. If you're not going to do it and you're not going to communicate it, you can't expect it.
Yeah.
You've got to have that like open communication. And if someone's like, well, I'm scared it's going to scare him off, well, if you're just going to sit there and ponder with it and build a story of resentment towards that person, you've already failed.
Yeah, I feel like where a lot of people are just afraid of getting it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was the issue. People are afraid of getting
it wrong.
the dating world wrong,
Get
or
it
getting
wrong.
it wrong
Yeah, fuck it.
with the person that they're with. So they kind of tiptoe around situation, tiptoe around how they feel, because there may be a part of them that if they ask the question that it may not be the answer that they want to hear, and that's fine. You know what I mean? You got to put yourself out there.
Get it wrong. If it's something make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck up. Like, it's better to fuck up than not fuck at all. You know.
And that's the thing. Exactly that. And also, it comes down to even making your intentions known when you're ready. Like, a lot of people would be in a situationship with a person and they would come up and ask someone, what are we? But it's just like, why are you putting the ball in their court when you're the one that's bringing up the conversation?
That's a very, very, very good point.
You know what I mean?
That's very good point.
I think as someone who wants to know what a situation is, like, you don't ask what are we, you lead with, okay, we've got to this point, these are the intentions, this is what I want, we've been dating for 3 months, I'm not asking you what we are, I'm telling you what I want.
Fucking mate.
You know what I mean? And then once you tell them what you want, then now the ball's in their court, and they're going to have to either say, well, I don't want that, or this, or I do want that. You know what I mean? I think when you ask, what are we, you then give that person the power to decide.
100%.
Because then now it's almost you've given yourself an subconscious ultimatum. Because like, if they say what I don't want, if they don't want it serious but I do, then I'm going to either have to lie and say, okay, that's fine, or I'm going to have to be like, okay, I'm out. And then it feels like you're the one that's lost control.
100%.
But if you like someone, and if you lead with, okay, I like you, this is my intention, la la la, and don't come out and saying, hey, this is my intention, I'm not dating anyone else, la la la, but I'm not saying I don't want to be girlfriend and boyfriend. It's just like, don't say that, because then you're almost like putting two feet in, and then you're kind of taking a step back by saying what you want, but also retracting a potential of what you want in the future.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because if
you want something, it's like, exactly, literally, I haven't really thought about it like that. That situation, I haven't been able to like coin like the feeling of that. But it's like, yeah, when you're ready to take it to the next level, if you want something, go to it with like, this is how I've been feeling, this is what I want moving forward. Are you able to match that?
Yeah.
Have a think about it. If you're not, cool, we'll split
then,
ways.
Yeah.
That's such a healthy way to bring to that conversation of being like, well, I'm feeling like I've got 1,000 thoughts a minute, I'm going to throw you the ball, what are we?
Yeah,
it's like, that's not fair. That's not fair in a situation. If you're mature enough to have that, if you're mature enough to have those thoughts, you're mature enough to have that conversation, and that just comes down to like being communicative, being vulnerable, opening up about these things, not dumping your fears on someone else, but being vulnerable enough to be like, this is what I'm feeling, I'm expressing that to you, are you able to match that? Let me know.
And if they're not, then you know.
That's fine. That's cool. Like, you know, that's perfectly fine. But at least if you do that, you're like leading with the idea of like, I'm prepared to walk away from this situation because I've now let them know what I want, and they either can match it or they can't.
Yeah.
And there's no room for like negotiation there, because you've basically just said to them, instead of going, well, what are we? It's like, this is my standard. Can you do that? You either can or you can't. And that's it. And that will create such a better experience where men and women don't walk away being like, oh, he fucked me around or he did this. And it's like, well, you potentially could have let yourself be in that situation, not just by meeting it where you wanted it to be, you know? So yeah, like fucking absolutely.
Yeah, that's so important. And again, it's easier said than done, because it does take a level of confidence and being actually aware of what you want. Because there's situations where a lot of people don't really know. They're like, but do I...
That's okay though.
Yeah.
But it's you know, I spoke about one of my friends like this. It's like, it's okay to not know what you want, but just express the thoughts you're having. Hey, look, I'm not really sure where I'm going with this, but I've been feeling like I'm having a really good connection with you. I really want to keep seeing you. I'm just going to leave that there. What do you think about that? That's okay to say. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know all the answers, but just to be able to effectively communicate. And people always like, oh, it's so much easier said than done. Yeah, but one day starts with day one. If you never do it, you'll never do it. It's always going to be hard until you do it. Any person that's a public speaker or that's a professional in what they do, they were never good at what they did when they first started. They just did it.
They just did it.
Fucking, what is it? It's called, you know, play confident until you become confident. Pretend to be the person you want to be until you become that person.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it, sorry, yeah, that's it. Fake it till you make it. Stop, you know, thinking one day this will happen. Just start with day one. Just do it. Just throw yourself in the deep end. Make a mistake and learn from it.
It's the only way you learn, isn't it?
Another, I think, a hard thing in the dating game is one of the reasons why it's hard, and it comes down to like expressing your feelings, is, you know, it was a podcast I listened to recently, but he was saying, you know, we live in a world where, you know, men are told that, you know, move on, don't worry, there's plenty more fish in the sea, there's loads of other birds out there, you can do what you want. And women are taught that, you know, you're a badass bitch, you can do what you want, you can move on, there's plenty more guys, he didn't deserve you anyway. We're both just told the same thing, that wherever we come up against adversity, walk away from the situation, throw your towel in.
Yeah.
How does that give any kind of encouragement or help anyone that when you're going through a difficult situation, to just maybe do some like self-reflection and try and work through those feelings you're having?
Exactly.
How the fuck is anyone ever meant to learn from that? Yeah. Where does that come from? I think that's a huge issue in the dating game. People just throwing in the towel enough, and it's not about not walking away from a toxic situation, but asking yourself, why am I having these feelings, and where is this coming from?
And the reason why people are now being told that, per se, is the fact that they know that they have the options and they have access.
Thousands.
And they have the access. And it
Just
doesn't
swipe.
even matter if the options and the access that they have are even good. It's the fact that they just know that it's there. It's like strength in numbers. Like, you may have to date 100 shit ones to find the good ones, but at least you know throughout the dates of the hundreds you're probably going to have a decent time as well. Even though you may find some shit ones, you know that there's going to be a good time in there. And I think that's the issue when you can throw in the towel, put more fish in the sea. It's the fact that people now do have access to all those fish that are in the sea. Years ago, you didn't. Like, you dated the person in your hometown or the closest city, and that was all the fish that you got. Like, if you broke up with your girlfriend, then you kind of thought, shit, well, what am I going to do now? Whereas now, if you break up with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you literally have a whole Sydney to choose from.
Bondi's got bare fish.
Bondi's got loads of fish. Coogie's got loads of fish. Bronte's got loads of fish.
Bare fish.
Like, all over the place. So it's the access that we have now and the options. And I think that's why people find it so easy to chuck the towel in.
Yeah.
But I think, this is all subjective. It all just comes down to whether you feel that you've given everything that you can to a relationship. It's fine to say there's plenty more fish in the sea after you've tried to make something work your hardest, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think people should be thrown in the towel
It's
as
also-
easy as they do.
It's also not about, like, it's not about trying to get blood out of a stone and trying to force a situation that isn't working, but it's really asking yourself, is, have you asked the right questions, and have you opened yourself up in the right way to allow that experience, if that's what you're looking for? You know, I think and obviously that's completely subjective and depending where you are, but that just takes self-awareness for you to be able to, like, look at that line. You know, is it them, or is it the fact that I'm not allowing that, like, level of communication? Am I just not ready for that? Have I not worked on those areas of my life? You know, is that why I'm throwing the towel in? And that's fine to admit that, because at least if you can admit that, you can know that and you can work on it. And that's, you know, at the end of the day, that's why we're here, and that's the game of life, you know, to make yourself better every day. And, you know, 1% every day is 365 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a bloody good point.
Where did we even start on this tangent? I feel like we've gone for, like,
I
fucking
don't know.
ages.
We've literally, like, blown through.
Okay. I had someone message me, like, recently, and I was like, I nibbled a little bit, because I was like, just a moment of, like, they were like, oh, you overthink relationships way too much. And I was like, ignorance is really bliss for some people, hey? And that's
ignorant
like,
people
and that's why I responded.
Yeah, ignorance is just like, ignorant people are just always happy.
Yeah. I was just like,
People who aren't self-aware are just always happy.
well, I was like, ignorance is bliss for people, hey? And they were like,
Do I know them?
Overthinker. And I just went,
Do I
and
know
then
the
just left
person?
the message. Yeah, you do know the person. It's no one, like, in our friend group.
Okay.
It's no one that anyone really, but yeah, you would have known of this person. But yeah, I was just like, fuck. Enjoy life.
I mean, I don't think you do.
No, I definitely don't think I do.
I think people who don't. You know what I think it is? I think when people look at life as it is now, they just look at it in a very compact situation. So for me, whenever I see people in relationships, or whenever I don't see people who try to become a better version of themselves, I think it's because they assume the life that they have now is, like, fine. They're happy with the life they have now. But in my head, when I look at relationships, I'm like, it's well and good you're together now, 4 years in. I'm like, but will you be together in 50 years? And that's the way I look at it. Is like, you might think you have it great now. You've been together 6-8 years. You've
You
been
just
together.
coasting?
Yeah, you just. I look at so many people. I'm like, you're just coasting, and you think you're okay. But wait until you actually have responsibilities beside yourselves. You have a mortgage. You might have kids. You might have a more important job. Wait, that's when shit's really gonna hit the fan. And I
Wait
think,
until you're off the visa.
yeah, I think people who aren't actively ensuring that they're more aware of themselves, their position in the relationships, or they're really happy with the relationship, ensuring that they're constantly doing work in the relationship. It's okay now when you're in your early 20s. I think these are probably the early 20s, early 30s will probably be the easiest and probably the most fun times for a relationship. Is when you're older that you like the fruit's gonna like you know what I mean. So I think whoever said you talk about relationships and I was just like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Because this is something you should do, because if you're wanting to be in a really strong loving relationship, you need to do the work.
It's made me more confident in what I look for, where it's like I can see, am I going after that person to fill a void of insecurity, or am I going after them because they actually make me feel really happy?
Yeah.
And knowing that is massive.
Yeah.
Like, it's massive. And if you haven't got the ability to ask yourself those questions, or if you haven't yet, well then there's probably just a little bit of work that needs to be done there. And if you're just so flippant in your like behavior of, oh, I'm happy now, it's going good, oh no, it's shit again, oh, and it's happy, and you don't really look into why am I having these flippant emotions so quickly and not looking into this, there's a big fucking problem that you're not dealing with, mate.
Yeah, there is.
And so really stop looking at other people, because if you think everyone else around you is overthinking, you're probably just the one that doesn't think enough.
100%. But yeah, shut your mouth, whoever that was.
Yeah,
you need to start thinking more about it. Piece of shit.
Fucking piece of shit.
If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm staring at you through the camera. But yeah, I think we've covered.
That was good, mate.
I'm sweating.
I know. I'll save a couple of those other bits for next time.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
That was therapeutic.
That was. Dan did some projecting at the start.
Mate, I feel like
the emotional dumping.
I felt like the bus was coming for a moment in the part of that comment. We're not going to talk about what it was, but
oh yeah, okay.
Mate, my eyes started twitching.
I wasn't even like talking about you.
I was like, are you just talking at me?
No, I wasn't.
He's literally, I was like, everything you're saying is at me. I was like, fucking.
I actually wasn't, but whenever you started reacting, then I kind of put two and two together, but I just ignored it.
My like avoidant attachment style was absolutely screaming inside.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's like run. Anyway, that is for another day. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Leave all the shitty and positive comments you want. We love it. We thrive on it.
Yes.
We'll see you next time.
Yes.
And let us know any topics you want us to talk about as well. Any issues or things you're going through. Send some voice notes. Send some stuff, because we love it. It gives us a good topic to talk about. And we appreciate all the support.
Yep. Goodbye.
Peace and love. Stay safe.
Bye.